Hello, this is Jack Ryan Morris with Midlothian, Illinois Voters Block, and welcome to the 2021 Midlothian, Illinois Trustee Debate. The format for this debate will be where I will draw a question, and we will have one candidate answer the question. The other three can have some time to discuss the question, and then the person who answered the question will have some time to give a rebuttal. First off, we'll have opening statements. So first off, Mr. Conway, your opening statement.
Good morning. Thank you, Midlothian Illinois Voters Block, for allowing us trustees to have this debate. My name is Jacob Conway. I am honored and humbled to run for the position of village trustee. No question, I'm young, but I want it to sink into all residents that I am willing to learn and willing to adapt to a village setting, a village board setting. My main promise is I'm a resident with a voice to speak on behalf of the residents. So that will be always my main focus. Make village more family friendly oriented is a big campaign set for me, and I've been open and transparent throughout my campaign, and I continue to strive to do that. I'm ready to work with all candidates, whoever should get elected, every mayoral candidate, and I'm ready to work with each and every resident. There is no trustee 101 that a candidate can take. It's a learning in the field type of job. I think my fellow candidates can agree on that. So I just want everybody to know I will give it my all, I will be honest, and I will be willing to put my feet on the ground to work for you. I am going to conclude with this. The first step is showing up, the second step is putting the work in, and I will do that. That's all I have for my opening statement.
Thank you. Mrs. Kavanagh, your opening statement.
Thank you very much. My name is Kathy Cavaney. I'm the incumbent trustee. I was elected in 2017, and the reason I'm running for re-election is that I soon realized, probably within the first 9 months of being elected, that there was going to be a lot more work to do at the end of my term. And so in this last year, I did a lot of soul searching and decided that I would run again for re-election because we still have a lot more projects to do. When I first ran in 2017, I kind of billed myself as the flood candidate. I stood in the creek, did a video, and I told all of the residents that I would work my darndest to bring flood mitigation to the village of Midlothian, and I think that we've done a pretty good job during my first term. My very main campaign promise was to apply to FEMA to get Midlothian to become a community rating system community, and we were successful in doing that within the first 10 months that I was elected. And I didn't do that on my own. That was a team effort. I had 2 trustees that worked on the team with me, along with Superintendent Sperry from Public Works and our village engineer and a couple of residents. So just about every major project that we've worked on here in the village is a team effort. And that's what I want to stress here today. And that's the reason why I want to run again. We still have a lot more projects to finish. We'll be working on, we're going to continue to work on the CRS program. We're currently a 7. I'd like to get us down to a 6 so that our residents will get a 20% discount, those who have to have FEMA flood insurance. We're going to work on economic development in the new TIF district, and we're going to be working on a new police department and public works facility. So I'm hoping that you'll re-elect me.
Thank you. Mr. Hilly, your opening statement.
Hi, my name is Jack Hilly. I was born to Midlothian, left for a number of years, and then once I had a family, we decided we needed to move back to Midlothian, back to our roots. My grandfather, my father, my in-laws all are longtime Midlothian residents. I'm currently sitting on the District 142 school board. I had no intention to get involved in politics, but they were having some issues over there, and I saw a problem. I wanted to be part of the solution. So that's just a little bit of my background. I'm also a 26-year police sergeant for a local municipality. During my time there, I've served as patrol officer, investigations, you name it, I've done it over there. I also sit on the police pension board over there for the last 20 years. You may have seen my parade float, which I lend out quite often to village, actually the village itself and other organizations. We did over 25, I think 26 birthday drive-bys. I've also sat and myself and my wife are the chair of the Midlothian Charity Golf Classic. Obviously, we didn't have one in 2020, but from 17 through 19, we managed to raise close to $20,000 for the local food banks and charities here in Midlothian. As far as why I wanted to be part of the village board, I saw an issue with the school and I said, I want to be part of that. Not that there's any major issues here in Midlothian, but there's a lot of good things going on and I wanted to be part of that.
Thank you. Mrs. Johnson, Reverend Sam?
Yes, thank you. Hi, I'm Kathleen Johnson, and I am a 26-year resident of Midlothian. From everybody I've met, that seems small in terms of everybody else being 50 years or more, but this is our home, and my husband and my son live here too. I work for the American College of Surgeons. It's basically the AMA, American Medical Association for Surgeons. I've worked there for 17 years. I am responsible for a $500,000 budget, so I understand what budgets are, and I understand what it means to run a tight ship. I manage over 200 volunteer surgeons, over 11 committees, so I am used to herding cats, and I'm used to hearing different opinions, and that takes skill, and you have to be able to know when to talk with them, when to kind of rein them in. So those are things that I think are important to bring to the table. Currently, I'm on the Midlothian Plan Commission, and I've been on that position for a number of years. And it's been an interesting process to learn how the village works, how the rules work, and why the rules were set up the way they were. And I'm hoping that we can continue to make the regulations better. I've also spent 15 years volunteering for St. Christopher's Fiesta. Perhaps I've served you a beer because I helped to run the beer garden, and I'm sure most of you have been there. I also served for 5 years on the well, some people think that, but St. Christopher School Board for 5 years. I spent 3 years as the vice chair and 2 years as the chair. The reason I am running is I have watched this village for the last 4 years bring itself up from the bottom. It's been a phoenix for me to watch this. And I wanted to be involved because I wanted to build upon the foundation that the current administration has been involved in. It's not sexy, but you gotta build a foundation to make things better. And so I see that Gary's the reason why I'd like to be a part of it.
Thank you. My first question will be for you, Mr. Conway. Would rotating trustees and departments every year help to ensure cross-training?
That's actually a good question. I think it would actually benefit because each department would then have new ideas coming in from a different head person. So I am for that. I think that would actually benefit the companies, the residents, and the trustees because we'll have on-field training in each other departments. So I agree that that will help.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything to say about that? Go ahead.
Hi. I agree somewhat with what Jacob has to say, but I think that rotating them on an annual basis could be a little cumbersome because for any trustee, especially a new trustee coming in, it takes a while to learn what your department does and to learn the rules on how your department operates and to get a really good sense of what each job description is, how each employee does their job, how that department functions within the village and with all the other departments. Rotating trustees is a good idea, but not on an annual basis. I would say every 2 years would probably be best.
Do any of you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, playing off what Kathy said, I think it would be advantageous every 4 years. Although if a 4-year trustee was elected to another term, I think that trustee should stick with that department. Adult learners are learn slow, and some of us it takes more time to get comfortable in a situation. And I think being an expert on your department is monumental to achieving the goals of the village.
Do you have anything?
I do. I agree with what Jack said. To be a trustee, it takes a while to become an expert, and you're the liaison for the group of people you're working for. So to get in there and learn it really well, you become their support. Now, after a couple of years, perhaps cross-training is valuable. However, at the beginning, I think someone really needs to learn how to do that job and how to manage it because you're the one that's representing them on the board, so you need to be very intimately involved in how that department runs.
you have anything to say to any of that?
And just real quick, I agree with Trustee Kevney. Maybe 2 years is maybe not an annual basis, but 4 years, I think is too much. The only way you're gonna get knowledge from that department is you're on the field, you're in the meetings and getting the work done. You don't have to be an expert, but new ideas coming in, fresh ideas coming in to each department. So if you stick with the same idea coming in, you stick with the same person, I think it can slow the process. So that's why we should rotate annually or every 2 years, so you have fresh ideas coming in.
Thank you. My second question will be for you, Mrs. Cadwell. If you lose, will you run again in 2023?
No. But if I lose, I'm a resident here in Midlothian. I'm gonna continue to stay here in Midlothian, and I'm gonna continue with all of the volunteer efforts that I started with before I became elected. So if I do not win this election, I will still be a volunteer here, and I will still support the village in any way that I can.
Anyone else have anything to say about that?
Oh, yeah, nothing that I've done is going to change. I would still like to be involved in the charity golf classic. I'm still gonna, volunteer my services to the village. I would say if in 2023, I'd say I'd have to look and see what happens in the next 2 years, honestly. I mean, that's a wait and see type thing. But as far as what I've been doing, and I would continue to do that.
Do any of you do anything?
I do, same thing, 4 years is far away, but to say never, you shouldn't say never, and I agree with what Jack said. See what's happening in 2 years, because that's the midpoint, and you need to decide. I too would stay involved, I wouldn't be moving out of town. I would continue efforts to help out with the garden walk, because we've been involved in the garden walk. We've been involved with the National Night Out. We've been involved in other things, so I would continue to be involved, because we love it here.
Do you have anything to say?
I'll answer that. Yeah, I will run in 2023, should I not come elected this year. And I will plan to become more involved, get on more committees, more volunteer events, should I not get elected. And if I get elected, obviously I will be joining more committees, doing more events.
Thank you. My third question will be for you, Mr. Hilly. That's the two-part question. Why are you running, and why are you better than the other 5 candidates?
Well, let me write them down. I have a short memory. Why am I running? Well, I think in my opening statement, I addressed the fact that what's been going on here, I want to be involved in that. I want to keep things moving forward. I think my experience in life and in my professional career, my dedication to volunteering in Midlothian, puts me in a position that I wouldn't say better. I think just experience speaks for itself.
Do you have anything to say about that?
Yes, the reason I would be running is I think I bring a unique background to Midlothian. Granted, I'm not a trustee, but with 25 years of experience of managing people, managing budgets, managing projects, those are lifelong skills that are very valuable and are very transferable to other positions that you're involved in. So I think that would be what I would bring to the table, is to bring unique ideas from the outside world and listen to what everybody has to say, because I think everyone bringing their ideas together helps to create a great solution.
And any of you two?
Go ahead.
I would consider myself not better like Jack said, but more unique, just because I can connect with the future generations. Some of them are my friends. I went to school with them. We are the future generations. We will be the ones buying land here, hopefully owning businesses here, just reinventing the wheel. I want to leave Midlothian better tomorrow than how I found it today, so that's why I consider myself most qualified.
And you go ahead.
Thank you. I'm rerunning, as I said in my opening statement, because when I became elected, I soon realized that there are so many projects that are going to be in the works at the end of my term, and I would like to be part of the team to see those through. CRS being one of them. CRS, for those who are not aware, stands for Community Rating System. It's a FEMA process by where communities are able to get discounts for their residents who are required to have FEMA flood insurance. Right now, our residents who are required to have that flood insurance enjoy up to a 15% discount. By continuing our work, if we can get our number down to a 6, then our residents will get a 20% discount. Also, I just feel that I'm best suited, I'm the best candidate for trustee right now because of the work that I have put in for the last 4 years. In addition to that, the 4 years of volunteering for the village that I put in for the 4 years before that. I've been working with the building department for the last 4 years, and we have upgraded the building department in a monumental way. We brought technology to the building department that had been lacking. We've also updated majority of the building department codes and ordinances, and there's still some more work to be done there. So based on the foundation that I have built in the last 3.5, 4 years with the building department, I would like to continue that work to see it through and to see it through completion.
Thank you. My fourth question will be for you, Ms. Johnson. Midlothian is becoming more diverse. How can elected officials help bridge the gap between cultures?
Well, that's a great question. I think as a society, we're becoming multicultural. And I think it's a way to bring everybody to the table. And we have to look at who are our residents, how can we bring them in? How can we serve their needs that are unique to their culture, and yet have them feel welcome, have them wanting to be involved. And I think if we show that we are a welcoming community, people will become more involved. They might be a little fearful at first, but I think Midlothian, that's the beauty of this place. It's once you get to know somebody or meet other people, and we need to bring in more people because they have a diverse background. They have life experiences that are so important that we understand. So as we are developing policies and procedures and programs, that we're looking at what their needs are to incorporate so they feel like they're part of the solution instead of feeling always on the sidelines.
You have anything to say to that?
Yes, I do. Our staff, our village.
If I could interject, Jacob's next.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We gotta keep the order, sorry.
Oh, sorry,
Steve.
go
Yeah, the order states.
Okay.
Diversity is great. It's great to have in each community. Communities around us have it. I feel like Midlothian has adapted very well to it. I think one thing we need to do is just have a reason for them to come here and stay here and keep welcoming them here. So just adapt to their needs and our needs.
Okay.
Thank you. Under the current administration, our staff has been diversified over the last 3 years to keep up with the diversification of our community. So I think that that is very, very important as well. So, and, you know, under Gary's leadership, I would hope that the residents would see that and all, you know, and agree that our United, or our Midlothian First team will work to continue to diversify our village employee base, you know, along with the community.
Thank you. Do you have anything to say, Mr. Hill?
No, I just concur with both Kathy's.
And then, should we continue to the second round?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. How would that work? Is it the same way?
Let's, yeah, keep the same order. We'll go back to start with Jacob with questions 5, 6, and 7, if that's okay with everybody else.
Thank you.
All right.
My question for you then, Mr. Conway, is would you consider downtown healthy and appealing to potential businesses and residents?
Yes, but that we shouldn't be complacent with how it is now. We should consider the bar here and just keep raising the bar. Whether that is bringing more businesses, making downtown more appealing. I think it's gonna be a community-based effort with our committees and our residents, just bring all of us together, make it more appealing for the businesses and the people outside town to have a reason to come to Midlothian.
Thank you. Do any of you have anything to add to that?
Yes, would I be next?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, our downtown at the moment is not as appealing as it can be. However, again, with this current administration, just in, I believe it was January of this year, the village adopted another TIF district. That TIF district goes along 147th Street from Cicero Avenue down to Lawndale, and then it also is down Pulaski Road from 143rd going south to 149th. And the village's plan is to use those TIF funds to incentivize businesses and developers to come to Midlothian and to redevelop some of the vacant properties that we have along 147th and along Pulaski Road. So that TIF district is gonna be a major game changer for the village, and I would like to stay on as a trustee so that I can continue to work on that project and see the developments through. And it'll take some time. We're not gonna, all those some of the empty properties won't be developed overnight. It'll take a few years, but I would like to be part of the team that at least gets the development going.
Thank you. Mr. Hilly, do you have anything about that?
She stole all my thunder. I don't know if I like this order. I'm kidding. As Kathy mentioned, the new downtown TIF is going to be, and it may not, everybody knows it's not gonna be overnight, but I think big change is coming. Big change is coming due to that TIF and the current administration instituting that TIF. So it's gonna be very exciting the next 4, 6, 8 years.
And do you have anything?
And I agree, and what's the beauty of the TIP is money's already going in there, so it's not going to be necessarily a burden on the residents, because we're working with the TIF that's already on Cicero, and that will help fund the TIF district on Pulaski. This is gonna help build the infrastructure, and once that foundation is laid, and the businesses will want to come in here. That's a beautiful area that we have the train there, so I think this TIF is going to make us shine, and I think businesses will want to come in, because we have a great downtown area that, it makes us unique. We're not a big box store, we're a charm, and that's what I like about the downtown area.
Ms. Chang, do you have anything to say back to Ms. Hart? My second question is for you, Mrs. Cadney. How can the village of Midlothian get the youth more involved in community events?
Well, we were successful in getting a lot of youth involved in our cleanup day last year. We had a lot of volunteers last year, a lot of whom came from Bremen High School. I believe it was the football team got involved. I don't run it, but I manage with a group of people our annual Fall Fest and Scarecrow event every October. And I reached out to the grade schools and the high schools to participate in making scarecrows. Last year, because of the pandemic, we had several scarecrows built, not quite as many as the year before because the kids weren't in school, but I want to say Bremen High School students their participation probably brought in, I would say 15 or 20 scarecrows, which was fabulous. Our whole rain-ready garden was packed with scarecrows in 2019, and it was a great event. And we had the grade schools participate and build scarecrows as well. So I think it's through the relationships that we have developed. I know that I've developed a lot of relationships through the grade school district and through St. Chris. And I know that Mayor LaRue has also developed relationships with the with both of those school districts and with St. Chris. And I think that just reaching out to our schools and working with the Park District and partnering on different activities will definitely engage our youth. So it's all about partnerships and making that phone call.
Is that it? Thank you. Do you have anything to say about that, Mr. Conlon?
It goes in that order, right?
Oh, all right, Mr. Wood, do you have anything?
Yeah, I was going to say with the pandemic and the institution of remote learning, like most every child from first grade on has an email address now. So that's a new thing. If you would have said my daughter who's in 3rd grade has an email address, if you would have said that 3 years ago, why does she need an email address? Well, now everything's done electronically. And tapping into the resources of the school districts, that's perfect for getting information out quickly, accurately. We still send things home in their backpacks if we go back to, or I should say, when we go back to school, hopefully in the 21-22 school year. But just the sharing of information is there, and looking for information, you could find just about anything. But the question was, how can Midlothian get young people involved in village events? Aside from the direct emailings, I think that the village is doing just about everything they can at this point.
Thank you. Do you have anything to say?
Yes, I do. So I think this is a great question, because everybody says youth aren't involved. And youth want to be involved, but they have to be told why they should be involved. I think having the village have focus groups. What are you looking for? What can this village do for you? Depending on the age, whether it's from grammar school or high school, or young adult, someone like Jacob, who's an adult, and what can he do or wants to do for the village and get them involved. I also think as Kathy said and Jack said, about relationships. I think working with the high schools is another thing. We the village actually had the campaign for the cadet cops. What a great way to involve the youth in getting involved, potentially thinking of a career in being a police officer by getting involved in that way. So if we hear what they're interested in, we can develop programs or partner with the schools to show that it's just not a building that you live in, but this is a community that you want to be a part of. And they may suck out their roots permanently here when they get old enough, instead of every kid saying, I want it out of here, but most of us end up staying where we grew up. Oh, and Jack, finally, sorry, you're a great reason. You got involved, you came to the village, you presented an idea, and now you're very interested in being involved. You're moderating this. This is a great example of getting the youth involved, and I commend you for wanting to do this.
Mr. Conway, do you have anything?
Yes, I think if the village connects with the schools, the parks, the chambers, just to create more events for the community, I think that will attract the youth more than it already has. So whether it's having the village team up with the park district to run these baseball leagues, abandoned baseball fields now. I know the school does own those, but if we meet with all the department heads, that's just one of them in baseball. We could have parades, which we already do. We could have other events. I think we just need to work on connecting with our resources, the parks, the schools, all of us in one room meeting, and I think we could be really successful on creating a youth and family-friendly events.
Thank you. My final question here is for you, Mr. Hilly. Do you believe in term limits for elected officials?
You know, that's a double-edged sword. What's not enough, what's too much? You know, municipal government in general, things don't get done overnight. If there was to be some sort of ordinance introduced in Midlothian, I think 3 terms is plenty of time to get things done. And then bring in, you know, a new face, whether it's the village president or mayor, or trustees. 12 years is a long time to serve on a village board, I think. I think you can get a lot accomplished in 8 years. I think you can get everything you want accomplished in 12.
Do you have anything to say, Mr.
I do. As Jack said, it is a double-edged sword, because people that are in there have that institutional knowledge that's never written down. And so for people to say, I remember when we did this, that is an asset instead of reinventing the wheel. I agree with Jack, though, probably 12 years is enough time. And as I was sitting here listening to Jack, I thought, what a great way of building a bench. Get people involved in the community, get involved in the committees, see if they're interested in wanting to be on the village board. So you're building a bench. So they already have the advantage of being involved, knowing how the village is run. And this way, they'll be ready to step up when somebody is ready to step down.
Thank you. Do you have anything, Mr. Conway?
3 terms is fair. I think that's most reasonable.
And then, Ms. Cabby?
Yes, I agree in 3 terms. In fact, during our campaign in the 2017 election, we had briefly discussed term limits back then, and it's just an item that hadn't come to, that hadn't been brought up to the board yet for discussion. But yes, I would agree in term limits, and I agree with everyone here that 3 terms should be the limit.
Thank you.
I just want to clarify one thing, that's 3 terms as trustee, 3 terms as president or mayor. Just want to make sure.
And that's all our questions we have. Is there anything else we should do?
Well, that went faster than expected. We can do closing statements.
Oh, I forgot about that. Sorry. Mr. Conway, do you have a closing statement?
Am I going, I thought it
We're gonna do reverse,
Oh,
okay?
okay.
We're gonna
Mr.
do
Johnson. Do you have
Johnson went last.
I
She'll go
do.
first.
So I think you've heard 4 different perspectives of why each of us think we should be a trustee because we're a candidate, or continue to be a trustee as Kathy has. I think that I have experience that would benefit the board. I think I have a background that is unique and diverse, that I can connect with people, whether it's employees, whether it's other board members, whether it's the community. And I think that when you put that all together, I think that I would be a good addition to the board. And I look forward to serving the people of Midlothian over the next 4 years, and I'd ask for everyone's vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hilly, do you have a closing statement?
Yeah, You know, serving on a board or in local government, whether it's a school board, a village board, library board, you know, there's a reason there's, you know, 7 members. There's a reason that everybody who's going toward a common goal, we hope, has the right mindset. You know, in our school district, the motto is children always come first. Here in Midlothian, the residents should always come first. No resident should be dismissed. No residents' concerns should be ignored. You know, and I think the current board and along with everyone here, including Jacob, would agree that sometimes people feel ignored. You know, and I can promise you, and I think I can speak for the McCarthy's also, that, you know, if we were elected and Kathy's reelected, nobody's gonna be ignored. Thanks.
Thank you. Mrs. Kevin, do you have any?
Thank you very much. I am asking the residents of the village to please reelect me. I believe I've demonstrated my commitment to the village in the 4 years prior to being a trustee and my, you know, volunteer work at the village, and then during these last 4 years as a trustee. And I would like to continue with, like I said, CRS. I would like to, you know, continue working on the TIF. Want to help the village with building the new police department and the new public works building. A lot of the projects that are worked on in the village are not specifically departmentalized. We work across every different department in the village. So I'm just not strictly working in the building department all the time. Sometimes I get phone calls speaking about, you know, not dismissing a resident. I get phone calls about trees. I'm not in charge of trees. Trees in the parkway are a public works issue. I've gotten phone calls this past winter about, you know, snow being, you know, plowed over a public works area. So, and I don't say, sorry, I can't help you, I'm gonna turn you over to the public works department. So I've worked with residents on various issues that are not necessarily building department issues. So I agree with Jack in there. For me, when it came to building department issues, I hope that no resident felt that they've been dismissed. I've done my best to address every issue and every problem, and some of those problems are tough ones that are still ongoing that we are still working on. I would urge all of the residents to consider voting for the entire Midlothian First Team. Gary has been a solid leader for the village of Midlothian. Kathleen and Jack have both, they have the same volunteer experience, they have the same drive and enthusiasm, volunteer experience, and professional experience that I had when I was a first-time trustee. And I'm committed to working for the village for the next 4 years to see out all the projects that we've started and to continue to move the village forward.
Thank you. Mr. Conway, do you have anything?
Yes. April 6th is a big day for Midlothian. We have the chance to make the change that we all deserve. I'm willing to be the voice for the residents of Midlothian. I'm willing to get the work done, get the youth and the next generations involved. I'm transparent, ambitious, and honest, and I'm humbled to be on the ballot and running a clean campaign for village trustee.
That's all we have. Is there anything else we can do?
I can ask, since we have plenty of time, if you guys want to take questions from anybody that decided to take time on Sunday to come out here. Would you guys be opposed to taking questions from the audience?
No, it's fine with me.
That's fine.
Does anybody have any questions they want to ask?
I got one. You all spoke about trustee liaisons and department heads. Tell me what that means to you. Define a trustee liaison.
What order are we going in?
Any order?
We can go.
Same order?
This is a free-for-all at this point.
Just go ahead.
Keep the same order, we're gonna keep the same order?
That's fine.
All right.
Department heads, I think, it's obviously just a name, I believe. I think we should all work together for one common goal, for each department. Obviously, the department head oversees, and, but I think that should just be the title. I think the department head should do the work, continue to be on the ground, getting the work done. So it means something, but I think it's more of just a title because the department head should be getting the work done as well.
Do you have anything, Ms. Kevin?
Yes, thank you. Well, department head is a specific job title, and department heads are hired based on their level of experience. So I would have to somewhat disagree with a little bit of what Jacob said, in that we can't, I wouldn't hire a police officer to run the building department, and I wouldn't hire a construction worker to run the fire department. So when it comes to department heads, the village is very specific and very careful to make sure that we've hired the individual that has the best skill set for that job. Now, that skill set not only requires the specific skills to do that job, be it building, fire, police, public works, but they also have to have the people skills and the soft skills needed to pick up the phone and talk to their other department heads and work together with each other. And I think that the department head group that we have right now is doing a pretty decent job of that. I know from my perspective, the building department superintendent has to work very closely with, mostly with public works, because their jobs go a little bit more hand in hand. And I know that both of those superintendents have a good working relationship. And the building department works very closely with the police department as well on some housing issues and housing matters, and I know that they have a very good working relationship. With regards to trustee liaison, that would be, of course, the trustees. We're all assigned to a department. I asked when I was elected, I asked to please be assigned to the building department because I wanted to work with them to improve on the building ordinances and codes that were because it was gonna tie in with the community rating system that we were about to implement. So I had asked to be, assigned there. So each one of us trustees will be assigned to a department, and it's up to us to learn how the department works, learn the ordinances and codes that are assigned to that department, and to help the department head do their job in the best way they can and implement all the strategies that the village wants them to implement.
Thank you. Mr. Hilly, do you have anything?
Oh, we have a time limit? That seemed really long.
I could go on and on.
I think there was two parts to that, and the liaison part is the one part I wanted to comment on. I think the department head part was covered by Kathy. With any organization, there has to be a contact point, and the liaison, the trustee liaison for whatever department it is, I believe is the person that that department head interacts with most, tells concerns to, needs, wants, things along that nature. On the District 142 board, I sat in the Operations and Maintenance Committee and Student Discipline Committee. We reported right back to the full board, our findings, our needs, our wants, whatever it is that we needed. As they say sometimes, too many cooks spoil the stew. So having a central point, to answer your question, that's what my interpretation of the trustee liaison for the department is.
And I see that the department head is the manager. They're the ones that oversee what is going on in their department. I agree with Kathy, they have to have the skill set to be able to be effective, but they also have to be able to interact with all the other department heads. And what is nice about having a trustee liaison is the department heads then go up to the liaison saying, here's what we're doing. It's not working out as well as we need it to be. Can you talk to the board? Can we think of new solutions or new ideas to then go back to the staff that are actually running in that department or have jobs in that department to make their lives easier, to make it better so that things that need to get done within the village are actually done. So it's a partnership. It needs to be open communication. It needs to be visionary so that the liaison knows what the department head is doing, because they are ultimately responsible for the budget, for the staff, for the projects. And so to me, they're both unique positions, but they have to work together.
Thank you.
I have a question for you guys. So I've been a lifelong resident of the town, what do you guys feel that could be done besides, I think, with the TIF money going to the downtown area? I'm kind of visualizing almost like the downtown area being, you know, almost like the Grange, downtown the Grange, like refacing it, so it brings in, I think, maybe younger people into the town. Like, what's a vision you guys have? If a family is looking to relocate, you know, they have Oak Forest, they have Crestwood, what kind of things, what kind of vision do you guys have to bring younger people into Midlothian, so they're gonna be like, hey, look at the charm of this town, and this looks like where we wanna grow, we wanna raise our kids, and what kind of vision you guys have for, you know, really bringing in younger people into the town to say, this is where we wanna raise our kids. You know, like either refacing the downtown area, you know, just, you know, make it look more modern, I think, you know? So, what do you guys think about that?
Who goes first?
I'll have you go first.
Okay. I would envision it on just bringing in businesses or resurfacing our downtown area to attract, gotta bring things to attract the eyes of young families, even the youth of the generation. So just bringing in stuff that will attract them, basically. So just we gotta suit their needs if we want Midlothian to be a family-oriented village.
That's gonna be one of the focuses as we move forward with the TIF, is to engage the community. We're gonna have many community engagement meetings, and we're gonna ask the residents what they would like to see. I mean, as a village board, we're only 8 people. And so we don't want to make that decision on our own without the input from our residents. So, of course, we're probably gonna have mostly retail businesses that are gonna be in the downtown area. We're not looking to put an office building there. We would prefer to have retail businesses, and businesses that would attract families to walk out of their neighborhoods and walk down 147th Street or walk down Pulaski Road to go visit. We've got plenty of fabulous restaurants. I think we have some of the best restaurants around. We've got great Italian restaurants, great Chinese restaurant, we've got great Mexican restaurants. Who am I forgetting in the list? Yeah, best pork chops, we've got great chicken, we've got fabulous restaurants, so we need some other entertainment type of activities to go in there. An arcade would be great, you know. A lot of our businesses, you use the word reface, so I don't know if you meant, you know, like reclad the buildings, rebuild the buildings. That certainly would definitely be, you know, part of the plan, just to do that. But, you know, we want to have some input from our community to see what, you know, they want. You know, we do have a lot of restaurants, and if more restaurants is what they want, then that's what we'll go after. But I think an arcade would be great. The mayor's mentioned several times that he'd like to bring in a microbrewery. That would be a great ad for our downtown. And also because the train is right there, you know, residents from a few communities over, if they didn't want to drive, how fun would it be to, if you lived in Tinley Park, to walk to downtown Tinley Park and jump on the train and take the metro down to Midlothian to come and, you know, have lunch and bring your kids to the arcade for the afternoon, you know? It's that type of creativity and diverse type of businesses that we're gonna look for.
Yeah, it's funny that Kathy mentioned Tinley Park. Some people might not remember, but their downtown area didn't always look like that. And I envision for the area around our metro station and, you know, extending east and west from there and even up and down Pulaski, a business district that's walkable, you know, that attracts people, that attracts families. That's what my vision is, and that's what the TIF is there for, to redevelop these properties into, you know, higher tax base or higher tax paying properties by increasing the property values. And I think that's exactly what's gonna happen.
So when you were asked the question, what popped into my mind was Oak Lawn. Oak Lawn, 95th Street, they've refaced it, they've made it walkable,
Right,
they've made,
that's what I'm.
you know, I grew up that way, so I'm more familiar with Tinley, but you're absolutely right. But that's only one part. To make people want to come here, we have to promote as a community the schools, very good schools that are in Midlothian, the public schools, the high schools. We have parks, we've redone it. Look at this beautiful park out here. we need to promote, hey, we've got great parks, we have things for your children to do, baseball leagues and soccer leagues and things like that. Fabulous restaurants, I'm a bit of a foodie, so I'm always looking for great restaurants. And I've had friends tell me that the Italian place in town is like downtown quality. So along with, and then what Jack said about the train, people go downtown, I work downtown. If you could come here going, I can get reasonable housing, I've got great schools, great parks, great restaurants at a reasonable price based on the tax base and what houses cost, why wouldn't you want to come to Midlothian? So it's a matter of doing all those things. It's not just one thing you need to focus on. You need to focus on all this, and I think if we can do this with the TIF and with a strong board and community involvement, I think Midlothian is the gem that no one knows about. So I'm very excited about what will happen in the next 4 to 8 years, because it's incremental, and we're also anxious about stuff that we have to realize, it takes some time, and then when it flourishes, it's gonna look great.
Yeah, so I agree with Kathleen with the restaurants, because our Hog Wild, Barlini's, those are restaurants that have been featured, on major Chicago media advertising. And honestly, for us, Crestwood, they can't claim that like we can in this town. So I agree, we do have some really great restaurants, and I think advertise those is almost like a tourist attraction for Midlothian. Like, hey, all you guys are missing out on some really good restaurants here. I think that would be good too.
Any other questions?
No. Anybody else? All right. Thank you to everybody for participating. Thanks to those that came out. Took some time on a Sunday. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, Jack.
the moderator?
Yes.
Jack, good job.
Great job, Jack.
I'm just curious, who wrote the questions?
Excellent job.
Yeah.
Huh?
Jason did.
Oh, you
They came
wrote
from
the
the
questions?
I wrote them, but I didn't come up with a note.